Welcome to the Embodying Excellence Podcast. I'm your host, Carlo, and I'm here with Brenden. How are you going, Brenden?
I'm good today, thank you. What about yourself?
Good. You had a big couple of weeks, eh?
Yeah, definitely. We've always got something on, and yeah, it's just about getting it all done.
Dude, we're in fucking November.
Oh, fucking, it's gone so quick this year.
It's like every week there's something else, isn't it? It's this, and we've got to attend to this, buy that, do this, do that. Sometimes you don't even get a moment to stop. Like,
no.
This is going to be like our 38th or 39th episode of this show, like, which is absolutely.
It's 41.
Oh, okay, there we go. I'm way behind.
So that's how much it goes. It just rolls on.
I know, it just rolls on, dude.
Yeah.
41 episodes. That's crazy.
Yeah, one week after another, and the busier you get, the more quick it seems it goes.
And you know what? It gets even busier, guys. So just letting you know, like, if you think it does slow down, you're wrong and you're in for a shock. So just be prepared. What are we talking about today?
Today we're talking about balance.
Balance.
Funnily enough.
Balance. Everyone watching this show, you have it.
Yeah.
Balance.
Yeah, balance or lack thereof, whatever you want to call it.
We're talking about balance of all things. Alright.
Yeah.
I wholeheartedly disagree with the concept of balance. And because to have everything on a equal playing field is not only completely ignorant of reality, but I also think that it's also disproportionate to effort, because a lot of what happens both in circumstantial reality and observational reality, or at least what you think is going to happen, it doesn't take into account proportions. So I'll give you an example. So if you were to do the same exercises every single day when you're at the gym, and you happen to have the same amount of output put into each training session, your body just begins to adapt to that. And while it may seem like a very balanced approach, like on paper, it's not a balanced approach at all. It's just the same stagnant, repetitive process. And especially if you're not putting your muscles under stress, or you're not undertaking the intention of getting better, you won't make any progress. So as much as you want harmony, you want balance, it isn't going to happen, because to get serious gains, you've got to go hard. You've got to go beyond capacity. You've got to go beyond what's expected of you, so that then you can make that marginal improvement in whichever area you're looking to target. And that doesn't come from balance. It comes from proportion. And so we talked about this previously, like by having priorities and making sure that what we do enables us to live the way that we want and embody excellence in our own way, we need to ensure that everything that we're doing is not only done with intention, but also with effort, which completely throws the balance completely out the window, because there isn't balance. Because if you're trying to balance everything, you're holding yourself back. And then when you're holding yourself back, then you don't reap the fruits of what you sow, because you're not putting all of the effort that you could be putting in. And at the same time, if you're not putting in all of the effort that you could be putting in, you feel like a loser. And then I know I do, especially when there are things that I say that I'm going to do, but then I don't do or don't put as much effort in, which we'll be talking about later. I know that I do feel like a dickhead. And so for me, balance just, it doesn't make any sense. It makes sense to somebody who wants to feel like that they have things under control, that they're able to balance and keep a straight line and keep it straight and narrow. Look, that's for them. But if you're someone that wants to embody excellence, that wants to grow, that wants to adapt and overcome potentially a poor situation that you're currently in, or even just elevate your game already if you're already at a high level. Balance isn't the answer. To me, it's priorities, and then taking action in the most proportional sense that's directly correlated to whatever outcome you're looking to achieve.
Yeah, 100%. And a lot of the time we justify not doing something as being balanced. We do less to basically abide by the expectations of others around us, or societal pressures of saying that, like, you should have a balanced lifestyle, you should be doing this, you should be doing that, when it's actual fact should be really, if you find sort of time for things that you want to sort of make as part of your life, yeah, fair enough, but don't stop doing what you're trying to do if you're enjoying it just for the sake of having balance there. Actually, just do what you need to do.
Balance, I think, is just a scheme that people brought up for other people to slow the fuck down, so that then either they don't feel as bad for doing nothing, or they feel like that they're further ahead than the other person because they convinced them that they should slow down and become more balanced.
Yeah.
And so I think personally it's the first one. It's the justification for laziness. It's like, oh, you're too ambitious, you're too this, you're doing too much at once, you need to find balance, you need to make sure that you're able to do this and this and this and this and this.
Yeah.
I think sometimes when people talk to me about balance, I immediately disagree, and I love them, but at the same time, like it isn't the case. And at the same time, like, I feel like that even within my own chaos, being able to find some harmony in the fact that I can control my success by taking action, and not just immediate action, but consistent and all-in action, then that enables me to then find the peace. And so I think people mistake balance for peace of mind and tranquility, in the sense that things feel like that they're under control. And so by being present, which is something that we've discussed previously as well, that's where that tranquility comes from. And I feel like that by people slowing down just to get some sort of balance, I feel like they're missing the fact that they can just do that by being present alone. Yeah,
that's right. And people have different ways of like justifying it to themselves as well. Like, I mean, they say, oh, fucking, I'm going to go out with the boys this weekend to have a balanced lifestyle. Like, I've got to do that. I don't have to complete what I said to myself I was going to do, because I've got to have that balanced lifestyle to appease to what is sort of expected of you by society's sort of standards. Whereas to me, balance could be, it's not really on a weekly basis. Like, I view it as like a lifetime duration balance. Like, we put in the work now to later on be able to enjoy things, have a little bit more freedom then, rather than just splitting it up now and doing things that I probably won't enjoy as much as the things that having extra freedom in the future I would then. Like, the things there are going to be at a higher level. So why just do things for the sake of doing things, and it's not actually basically stuff that you sort of enjoy as much as moving forward and moving towards your goals and achieving things. Like, personally, like through my 20s and all that, like, I really didn't have that much of a balanced lifestyle to society standards. Like, I put in a lot of work and that on myself, and like just general work, and those society standards sort of allowed me to, or not sticking by society standards I should say, allowed me to basically make progress towards what I want to do, more or less than sticking by them and sort of being held back a bit just to abide by the standards of what sort of people expect of you, and it's over a lifetime's duration that you sort of get the overall balance when you get ahead by not sticking to that standard, if you know what I mean.
Well, balance is not found, it's built.
Yeah.
And so when in my 20s as well, like I was always looking for balance. I was always looking for something to excuse myself for not working hard, or for not working on the things that I wanted to work on, and instead let others dictate what I should be working on, what I should be doing, and what I should be liking. And so balance is built by setting your priorities. And like you said, like it might take an exorbitant amount of work at the beginning, especially bootlegging your own reality. And so, not bootlegging, bootstrapping your own reality, where you do an extreme amount of work at the beginning to ensure that the life that you create, then you get to enjoy. And so this is also a fabrication of the 9 to 5, like work 9 to 5 for 50 years and then retire and then live the next 12 years in peace and prosperity. And then you're old, frail, you haven't looked after yourself, you resent whatever existence that you did have, and you didn't take any risks. And so sometimes taking risks is also part of that equation, where you go, you know what, there are things that I didn't like about what I've done throughout the course of my life, but I was able to build things because I took risks. And so understanding that principle, you then get a better grasp of what you actually want. Because a lot of the time, because you're so preoccupied with what society expects of you, or your loved ones, or at least pre-impose on you, because a lot of the time they don't impose anything, they just say this and they say this and they say this, and you say because school conditioned you to be obedient. As a kid, you listened to your parents, you didn't really question things and things like that, and then as you do grow up, then you then become expected to question things because you're no longer a child and you're no longer a teenager, you're an adult, and you should be able to navigate your own life. Well, wait a minute, I just spent the last 13 years conforming to everything, and now you're expecting me to make decisions? Well, wait a second.
Yeah,
so
right, exactly.
How is somebody supposed to build the foundations of freedom and create this so-called balance that they're looking for when all they've been doing is just obeying others? And so I know that because I've spent a good portion of my time doing exactly that. And so I speak from personal experience, and understanding that you're the creator, you're the builder, whatever priorities you lay forth, that's your prerogative to then go and pursue, right? There isn't any inherent meaning. Like when it comes to life, it's your creation, it's your culmination of experiences, circumstances, insights, ideas, risks, rewards, triumph, chaos, loss, whatever it is. All of this that culminates the human experience. That to me is what a fulfilling life would look like. And so on that particular balance sheet of life, you've got everything accounted for. And a lot of the time we spend in these spirals of depression or anxiety or things like that is because we're bored. And instead of looking for a balance by doing less, it's probably about time you started doing more. You try different things, whether it's learning a new language, whether it's learning a new skill. You talk to that woman that you've been having a crush on for a long time, but you didn't just talk to, or it's a guy if you're a gal, whatever it is. I personally think that by actually doing more and stepping out of what's comfortable and what seems natural to you will restore that inner harmony, because you feel conflicted because you're looking at other people's lives from the lens of social media or from the lens of just observing as the outsider, and you've never really done anything yourself, which is why then you bicker about all the things going on in the world, or you resort to the news, or you binge on social media, whatever it is. You haven't done shit. And this is a reality that I face. Like, I'm no angel, I'm not perfect, but I've just arrived at this conclusion. And I sincerely hope that people listening and people watching arrive at the same conclusion. And then when you do, I hope you have the courage to choose what you want to do. And so then by building that foundation, then that freedom, that peace of mind, that tranquility that you've been craving is because internally you've gone, this is what I've wanted to do, and now I've gone ahead and I've done it.
Yeah, in a way, taking action on things creates more balance in your life, because what you sort of were lacking to have balance was a variety of between different areas. Like, say you were doing the same shit every week, 1 week, is that really balance? Or is that just doing the same thing all the time, every week and week out? Action just solves that problem, and you're moving forward, and basically it's the way to go, because you're going to be stuck. Because balance is a equal playing field across all areas, not just prioritizing one area out of another and being stuck in the same position as you were year on end. People sort of go out to the same bars, have the same conversations, say how shit their work week was, how much they don't like someone that they work with, or some bullshit like that, right? And they call it balance. And then they invite people to join them.
Misery loves company.
And that basically acts as a justification to themselves that they're not putting in the work, and they call it balance.
And I feel as though that it's a spectrum and it's a continuum, like we've discussed on a previous podcast. It's not binary. And so often we feel stuck is because, like you were saying, it's the same actions, it's the same habits, it's the same in, week out, and it's just this consistent loop. And so it's a loop that we've created because previously we either felt either compelled or comforted by this particular action, but now because this action no longer serves us, because it's familiar, we continue doing it despite its hindrance towards our progress. And so by making this determination that you're continuously looping and you're becoming more conscious of it, then you're no longer in that binary state anymore. You're in that unknown of that continuum, because you've decided, you know what, I'm going to do something different today. I'm going to do X, whatever that might be, instead of always doing Y. And so by applying that new action, you don't feel stuck anymore. You feel relieved because you're going, I'm not judging myself for taking this particular action. And I'm not blaming anyone else for judging me either, because I've taken that action anyway. And 99% of the time, no one cares. They've got their own dramas going on in their lives, and they're thinking about their own shit. And so a lot of the time, whatever it is that is paining you, and you're going, this person's going to judge me for this, or this person's going to judge me for that. And they've got their own stuff going on. You know what? A lot of the time, the universe rewards you for taking action. Even doesn't matter how absurd the action is, right? It could be diabolical, but also at the same time, it might be different to someone else. That's all that changes. And then they go, well, you know what? That was different. I don't like it. This and this and this. And you just found out that's not the person for you anymore. And you've taken this new direction. This person is drifting apart, and you either maintain the friendship by understanding one another, or at least coming to understand one another, or you don't, and you part ways. It happens. And you've got to be able to accept that fact that things aren't going to be always the way that you think that they're going to turn out. A lot of the times they end up being better. And it's just that because we're so desperate for something good to happen, and we try to balance things out by slowing down, there lies greater opportunity that we don't pursue because we forsake great for good, and it's completely not necessary.
Yeah.
And so I personally think that the underlying message behind all of this jargon that I've just rambled on is that you've got to take a different action daily, whether that means waking up at a different time, whether it means running a different route, whether it means talking to a different person instead of the same person each day. And so by taking new actions, you're creating new neural networks in your brain and new habits, new environments. All of these things accumulated, it becomes a new life. I've found myself in the last few weeks just going to the beach every day. And I don't go to the beach every day just because I love going to the beach, don't get me wrong, I do. But it's a new environment, it's a new neural connection, it's a new, okay, this is something different. And so it's not a binary state, it's a spectrum, it's a continuum. Oh, okay, this is the life that I'd like to live. I'd like to own land by the beach. So what am I going to do? I'm going to go to beaches so that then I can get accustomed to the idea and my body can feel that it's living by the beach. Yeah. That's freedom. And that's what people mistake balance for. You got to be able to do everything. You've got to work, you got to take your holidays, you got to go see your friends, you got to go and do all these different things. You might not like seeing your friends all the time. You might be a bit more introverted than others. Yeah. And you go, no, you know what? I feel like just staying in. You know what? You might be the type of person who loves video games rather than going out. That means that you actually have to get out of your own house. And you know what? That might not be for you. And so as long as expectations aren't imposed and that you do things at your own volition and you take action towards things that matter to you, that's what balance ultimately is. It's determining what your priorities are and then just taking action on said priorities.
Yeah, exactly. You shouldn't feel the need to stop taking action in a particular area of your life. If you're moving towards, like for me, like the fitness lifestyle, all this sort of stuff, like, I mean, every now and again I might want to sort of go out and do whatever, like, I mean, just to catch up on with people. And
that's not a bad thing, by the way.
Yeah, no, you do that, right? But you shouldn't feel the need of stopping making progress just to have balance because you feel pressured from like society who continually say, oh, you have to have balance, you can't keep doing this, can't have that obsession. Like if you have a goal, you have to, and it's so big, you've got to be obsessed in that goal. You can't be what society calls balance in a way. Your own actions determine how far you move forward, and whether that's balanced or not, it doesn't really matter. It matters if you feel good in yourself, because you can, like, you'll display confidence and you'll display like your discipline will be better, and that'll give you freedom to actually do things to add to your life and not just try and do this, do that, and be balanced and not move forward in any real part of the area and just half-ass all different areas.
You need to go full ass on the areas that matter to you.
Yes,
like that is absolutely paramount to any sort of peace and abundance and freedom that you would like to feel. And for you to believe that there aren't going to be things that are going to feel like that they're in your way is completely naive. Like, people are going to be people, right? Some people can be absolute niggaboos, right? And circumstances sometimes don't favor you, and that's reality. Like, you aren't going to get a perfect 300. Like, there's a bowling reference, right? But you aren't going to get a perfect 300 in life.
No.
Right? Like, it doesn't happen. You might get lots of strikes that might all add up to 300, but in the grand scheme of it, you're going to have multiple bowling games. Some are going to be 300s, others are not. And so to be able to fully navigate all the different times that you're going to have, whether it's in prosperity, whether it's in scarcity, you've got to be able to understand that it's similar to the seasons, right?
Yeah.
You're going to have a lot of winters. There are going to be lots of summers that you can take advantage of. There are also going to be lots of springs where you get to plant the seeds and really start ahead. And then by autumn, you would have harvested. And then when you do harvest and you get to enjoy the fruits of your labor, then winter comes along again, right? And it's cyclical. And so if you're in a bad spot now, it's not going to be forever. And finding this balance when you're in a bad spot, to me, doesn't make any sense. What makes the most sense is if you are in a bad spot, then acknowledge that you are, and then figure out the skills that you need to be able to get out of said bad spot. And then when you do get out of said bad spot, then you can evaluate why you were there in the first place. Because if you spend too much time evaluating at the beginning, whilst you're still in the bad spot, then you can get looped into this thinking loop where you don't take any action at all and you're just constantly analyzing.
Overwhelms you.
Yeah, it overwhelms you and you just constantly analyze. And again, I speak from personal experience because
I think we're all
but like for me, I'm not going to speak for you, but I'm going to speak for me because there were times where like I had my heart shattered in millions of pieces, and then there were also times where I had my balls kicked in, and instead of just dusting myself off and moving on, I froze. I stayed stuck. I was just in this thinking paralysis. Like, you've been there.
Yeah.
Like, we've had some D&Ms where I've been going, dude, like, well, what the hell? Like, how do I process all of this?
Yeah.
And now it's just come to my understanding that I can do both. Like, I can both think and take action. It's not one or the other.
Yeah.
It's not binary. It's like, well, hey, you know what? You want to analyze now? Great, go ahead. But don't let that stop you from taking action anyway. And take the action, right? And I know people that don't analyze at all, and then they just take action, right? It works for them. And then there are times where they go, dude, I've been taking all this action, but I don't feel like it means anything. And it's like, well, you haven't thought things through. What do you expect?
Yeah,
exactly. And so there isn't balance there. Like when I was just elaborating then, there was no evidence of any balance anywhere.
Yeah.
It came down to proportions. Are the amount of actions you're taking proportionate to the size of your goal or the size of your vision?
Yeah.
Yes, awesome, okay, you're on your way. There are going to be some times where you're going to get kicked in the nuts, okay, great, but you know where you're going. Then on the other end of that, you get kicked in the nuts and you spend a lot of time freezing and analyzing like I did, and nothing feels like it's going right, and all these different things are all coming up all at the same time. You go, well, what the hell do I do? And then again, you ask yourself, is your analysis proportionate to the actual magnitude of the problem? Yes. Oh, well, okay, why? X, Y, Z, this, that. Oh, okay, well, now that you know that and you have some closure and you have some clarity, isn't it about time you took some action? Yeah, well, okay, that's your proportion. That's your so-called balance. And so action alleviates anxiety. That's the bottom line. Like, you take action, it might be the wrong action, you might take the wrong action for the rest of your life, who cares? You're taking action, because the longer you think about things, the worse things end up getting. And so there have been times where I'll just cycle thoughts, and I'm like, well, dude, how the hell do I stop? And I'm like, well, I figured out that things are loops, life are loops, actions are loops, thoughts are loops. So I identify the loops, I work around those set of loops, I can learn to let go of those loops and create new loops. And so you can't escape loops, where if you then recalibrate and create a different loop, then you'll get a different outcome. And then those different outcomes will then lead to the balanced life that you're looking for.
Yeah, that's right. And I think self-analysation is a big part of that. I mean, like, it's not so much having the balance there. I think it's more so like thinking to yourself, look, I'm lacking in this particular area. Well, I've got to take actions to help me improve in that area, not necessarily just do something for the sake of just having balance there. I mean, we all have areas that we need to improve on, and you're lying to yourself if you think you don't. And by taking the actions and in different areas, you're going to move forward. Whereas if you're just doing, like, say, for example, you have a fitness lifestyle, right? And to have balance, you have a cheat meal or whatever on the weekend, right? And you do your recovery, right? You go for a spa or sauna or ice bath, whatever it is, and you do something else, right? Do all well and good, but I mean, if you're just having the cheat meal for the sake of having a cheat meal, and it's not like actually moving you forward towards your goals, you're not doing it for a particular reason, like to up your carb intake or anything like that.
Conducive to you.
It's not. There's no. That's just adding something else for the sake of like being balanced per se, and not actually working for you. And that addiction that you might have had before to get you on that fitness lifestyle in the first place, food addiction, it's not going to be stopped by having that cheat meal. You're going to still have that addiction then. And whilst you may think it's balanced, it's actually working against you. So it's more or less sort of evaluating certain areas of your life and seeing if they can improve or not, and working with actions towards them goals, then just add things in for the sake of adding things in.
I feel like though that's a lot of the fitness community though. Like
Yeah.
they all have food addictions and body dysmorphia, and they're more terrified of being fat than eating enough. So what they do is then they train excessively, and then they eat ridiculously as well, and their training is disproportionately more conducive towards what they're looking for than what their nutrition is. And so at the beginning, it's quite simple to get away with, where as you do get older and your metabolism ends up slowing down eventually, then it's no longer conducive. And so you either take anabolic steroids or you take enhancers to maintain this particular illusion that you are fit when you're just addicted to food and you're not willing to admit it, and then nothing gets done about how you feel internally and what's going on in your internal monologue. So you can train, you can eat all the right foods, you can go to bed, but if you don't address what's going on up here, then you're going to have a much harder time when things begin to slow down. Because if you're always on the go, whether it comes to your workouts, your work, your hustle, whatever it is, there is going to be a time in your existence where things are going to be much slower, and that's going to terrify you. And you're either going to continue working because that's what you're familiar with and you can't stand the thought of stopping for 1 second, or you do stop and then things come to a grinding halt and you go, that's not balance, that's not freedom, that's chains, that's prison, right? And why have I done this to myself for so long? Why hasn't anyone told me about it? And a lot of the time it's because you weren't willing to listen, not only to yourself but also to others. And we all have this. I'm a great example of this as well. Like, there are plenty of things that people around me have told me about life, and I'm like, whatever, sure. And then they turn out to be right. And so to be able to consequently understand what goes on in your mind, you need to be able to stop and have that self-assessment. And you need to determine what your priorities are, so that then when you do chart the course, then you're no longer concerned about balance. Like, balance doesn't even exist when you're obsessed. Like you were saying before, when you are obsessed with a purpose and you know the action steps that you need to take every single day to ensure that this reality that you're obsessed with ends up happening, there's no thought of balance. Like, the only thought of balance comes in is the bank balance, or the life balance, like the life experience balance, where you've gone, oh my God, like I've taken a bunch of risks, some didn't pay off, some did pay off, and I took that leap of faith. Like those are the only balances that personally I would be when I think about balance. Otherwise, this idea that everything needs to be on an equal playing field, like that doesn't work.
No.
That's like the equality argument that everyone's having about equality of outcome. It's you know what, things happen differently for different people for different reasons. People have different skills, different temperaments, and so outcomes will then be proportionate to whatever the actions and temperaments and circumstances partake in. And this is the same with this balance equation. And so if I take a certain action, I'm going to get a certain outcome, right? It's physics. And so it's the same applies to fitness, to finance, to relationships, whatever you'd like to put forward. Like it applies the same way. I think there's a little bit of nuance, like when it comes to the actual subject matter at hand, but the underlying principle is quite similar.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just about doing what's right for you and not what other people think at the end of the day.
Yeah, sometimes we just need to tell people around us to shut the fuck up and live their own lives.
Yeah,
and stop hustling us about what we should be doing and focus more on what they should be doing.
Yeah, and stop sort of letting their own like insecurities or their own lack of action basically project onto you just because they haven't pushed and taken action towards what they've sort of wanted to do in life. That shouldn't dictate how they talk to others and tell people to slow down or do this, do that.
It's funny because I thought about this morning. It's often the people that do nothing have a lot to say, and then the people that do it all usually have nothing to say at all.
Yeah.
And that's really a balanced equation.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time, if we stop listening to the people who just say it all and don't do anything, and start emulating the people that do it all and really don't have to say anything at all, then things might actually move forward for you. And to be able to fully grasp that, to fully understand that, you need to just go out there, take risks, fail again, and keep failing until you figure it out. And then when you do figure it out, then share it with somebody. And so then if they do fail, then you can encourage them along the way because you have the resources, you have the know-how. And you're not going to just point the finger and go, oh, you should have done it this way, oh, you should have done it that way. And you don't really have any backing or any experience to even make that conversation happen. And so balance is something that lazy people have used to justify their inaction.
Justification,
That to me is what balance is. And so even though we're talking about balance today, we are both, as you can see, very anti-balance. And so if you do feel like that balance does make sense, we'd love to have a chat with you and understand why. And I personally think that sums our episode up for this particular episode. Thank you for tuning in, and please like, share, subscribe, even comment on our shit if you love it, hate it. Just let us know.
Let us know so we know how to move forward.
We get some feedback. And we'd love to see you on the next episode.
I thought that was a pretty well balanced episode.
Until next time.
Thank you.
Stay excellent.
Thank you.